I asked my viewers to send me their worst first date experiences, and today I'm going to be ranking them in this tier list. So we got diabolical, really bad, bad, and could be worse. This first one is titled How My Dissociative Identity Disorder Made Me Almost Get Someone Arrested. I've been diagnosed with DID since 2014, which if you don't know much about, basically means I switch between different me's, all with different names, personalities, all that. Anyway, around 7-ish years ago, I was going out with this person, having a lot of fun, just doing the regular, casual going out type of thing. We had each other's phone numbers, we used to chat every day, it was all fun and dandy. Then one day, I was alone at home and I invited said person to come over, and they did. We started getting a bit intimate, and then a switch happens. A switch is when the identity currently in control changes, or switches to a different one. And back then, we, as in the collective, didn't all know who that person was, since I hadn't mentioned about said person to any of them. The other personality, after seeing what was happening, got desperate and freaked out, threatening to call the police for an invasion and sexual assault. Thankfully, I had mentioned to that person about DID. They studied the topic a bit considering I gave them all the details needed to understand each of the alters. So although the other quote-unquote me did call the police and almost started yelling on the phone, the other person managed to de-escalate the situation and explain everything with our text messages. Dating having DID is absurdly hard. Never tried it again. Man, this is just unfortunate for everyone involved. Imagine you're just having a grand old time, beating the doonies down, and then your girl just goes, "Who are you? Who are you? What are you doing here? How are you in my house? Why are you in my bed or inside of me?" I wouldn't put it in diabolical just because this is not something that happened intentionally. I will put it in really bad though, because that really, really sucks. The next one is called Unpleasant Surprise. When I was about 16 or 17, I went out on a lot of dates, but there was one in particular that was absolutely horrible. His name was Nate, and it was our third date. This time I went to his house instead of a restaurant. The moment I stepped into his apartment, the smell was off, kind of sour, and it was overwhelming. I looked around, I saw rotten food piled in his cabinets and shoved in the fridge, bugs crawling around, trash all over the floor. It was like a dump in his house. Nate was completely oblivious to the mess and the smell. He kept talking about how the house was his dad's old one from the 80s or something. I was freaked out, I almost puked several times. I made an excuse to go home. A few days later, like 3 or 4, I ended up confronting him about it. It turns out he had some childhood trauma that involved him being starved by his parents. I ended up ghosting him after that. That was the last time I went on a date. This one doesn't sound very pleasant either. It's always a bad look when you go to someone's house and they just straight up are a slob, or, the things are very messy, dirty, or in this case, just straight up just unsanitary. As far as how bad this is, he didn't do anything to you. I would call it bad. I would put this in bad. The worst thing that really happened is you had bad odor and the guy was a little unstable and the experience wasn't great, but things could have been worse. I'm going to put it in bad for now. This next one is titled Full On Racist Karen Fight Plus Annoying Odd Kids. So me and my girlfriend were planning to spend our second date at a local restaurant by the park. We were just talking to each other about our day when these 2 moms and their 3 children came into the restaurant and sat behind us. Me and my girlfriend were obviously just not really paying attention, so we just carried on talking and laughing. Out of nowhere, one of the kids reached over, grabbed my phone off the table, and started running off with it. I started to follow him and asked if I could get it back when he blatantly starts screaming. Everyone was looking at me as if I punched him, which I felt like doing, to be honest. The mom starts coming over, snatches the phone off the kid, and dumps it into my hand. She doesn't make him apologize or even have the patience to at least hand it back. So I go back, apologize to my girlfriend, and we continue. 5 seconds later, one of the children smashes their glass on purpose and throws their cutlery on the floor. I look back just to see all the moms on their phones, probably on Grindr. I don't think Grindr is the one. Never mind. And don't say sorry/thanks to the waiter for cleaning it up. After the food, plus 30 minutes of constant screaming from 7 IQ children, we decide to get the bill. We both had a headache from them. So as we just stand up, one of the children throws their chicken pieces at my girlfriend. We both had enough, so we just go over and say, "Please could you watch over your children more carefully?" As soon as those words left my mouth, this fat mom stands up and full-on screeches into my face, saying how dare I talk to their children. She also made fun of my half-Indian side, which I would not like to properly say, but I will just state that it's something to do with the immigration in the UK. As the waiter comes over to confront what has been going on, the Karen spits in his face whilst her friends just laugh. Out of nowhere, she full-on swings her chubby fist at the waiter. Me and my girlfriend knew that it was time to leave, so we paid and left the restaurant whilst hearing glasses smash and her screaming. Thanks for taking the time to read this, Nico. I really appreciate it. Okay, this is pretty bad. This is pretty bad. Like, if this was me and the kid first stole my phone, then wouldn't stop screaming the whole time, and then throws some shit at my girlfriend, I'm fighting these fucking moms, bro. Like, I'm not even joking you. Nothing enrages me more than people who have the audacity to have children when they themselves are children. Just tie the tubes, bro. Just tie them. You don't need to have other spawns of you in this world. Like, this type of shit pisses me off to no end. Now, as far as bad dates go, I don't know. I'm willing to put this in bad. I'm not gonna say that it's the worst thing in the world. Something similar has happened to me before. Do I put it over disgusting apartment? Nah, I'm gonna keep it behind disgusting apartment. I think it's a normal thing. This one is titled My Big Fat Fake Homecoming Romance. It was a few weeks before the homecoming dance at my high school, and I was talking with this guy. He seemed genuinely interested in me and what I had to say, and I was starting to like him a lot. And I figured with homecoming soon, there was a chance he would ask me, but he didn't. Okay, that was fine. He might have just been scared or not had the time. I didn't think too much of it. Then we got to the dance. About 20 minutes in, he finds me since we came with separate groups. We ended up talking a lot. Then things picked up as we slow danced to stand by me while holding hands. He bought me a snow cone from one of the trucks and gave me his jacket when he saw I was cold. Okay, that seemed kind of like a date to me, even if he didn't ask me to the dance. Then at the end of the night, he asked me if I would want to go on a date with him another time. Yes, of course, I thought. So I agreed. Later I found out that he told one of my friends he wanted to kiss me that night, but got too scared. So definitely a date, right? Funny. A few days later, I find out he has a girlfriend who he asked and brought to that dance, but then left her to hang out with me because she was quote-unquote boring. Hello? Then she found out about me, and they had a huge fight, and I promised I didn't mean to be a homewrecker, but I swear I didn't know until after the dance. Needless to say, I steered clear of that whole situation. Didn't end up dating anyone for a hot sec. And he dated the other girl for about a year before moving to Germany. Bruh. Bruh indeed, bro. What? Like, he left his girlfriend to come hang out with you at a homecoming dance of all things because he was bored of her? It sounds to me like he should have broken up with her ages ago, but come on, bro. Really? Honestly, this is kind of diabolical because this directly involves you in like a accessory to like cheating on someone. It's just like, oh dear, man. This next one is titled, I accidentally hooked up with my uncle and I could be pregnant? All right, I might have to switch around some of the previous ones. Maybe the last one, maybe it has to go down one. Just off the title, honestly. I am a college student in my early 20s. However, I have always been attracted to older men ranging from 50s to 60s. I have been using Tinder for a few months now. I've had a pretty hard time actually finding matches, until one day I matched with my uncle unknowingly. You see, my parents have been divorced ever since I was a little girl. I have never met my mom's side of the family because she got arrested and my dad remarried. So when I matched with this old dude in his 50s, I got really excited. We hit it off immediately, got a bit sexual over the phone, and planned a date over at my apartment. After he drove his 2017 Honda Accord over to my place, we finally met. It didn't take too long, we got down to business. It was rough, it was hot, we both enjoyed it a lot. After the deed was done, he stayed the night. He was out like a light. It was kind of cute. I, however, was having a harder time falling asleep. While I was laying there, I was thinking about how I want to take this relationship more seriously. I got the bright idea to look up his name on Facebook. After a bit of searching, I found his profile. While I was scrolling, I accidentally found some old family photos. I nearly yelled out of shock as I recognized my biological mother standing right next to him. The next day, we said our goodbyes, and he drove back to his place. Meanwhile, I was freaking out because we didn't use any protection. Stupid, I know. I have no idea who to go to about this, and I need any advice I can get right now. I am conflicted because I still have feelings for my uncle, but I don't know how to confront any of my friends and family about this. There are a lot of issues here. There are so many issues here, but let's begin with number one. Whatever feelings you have to your uncle, you don't, no, you're not pursuing this, dude. That's not, no, you'll get over it. That's number one. Number two, as far as who do you tell, I would tell a therapist, because if I found out that I'm hooking up with my niece, dude, like I am cold turkey cutting that off immediately, not telling possibly anyone ever, and I am straight up going to a therapist and asking questions, because that's how bad that is. Another just casual piece of advice: use protection. There's so many types of birth control, okay? So many types. Pick one so that you don't get pregnant by your uncle, which I guess is not usually the issue, but just you know? But yeah, you should go to a therapist, and I wouldn't go to family and friends about this one. I really don't. Yeah. But yeah, this one takes the cake. Peak diabolical. Like, we might have actually already found the worst one. This one is just titled Dad with a lot of exclamation points and question marks. One time when I was in college, my quote unquote friends showed me a dating site where it'd pair you up with a random person and your friends would decide if that person was right for you and then set you up on a blind date with them. It sounded fun, and I was the dumb college boy who was honestly a bit desperate. Around a month later, and I'm set up on a date, only to meet up with my dad, and one of my friends was nearby recording it. It was so scary and uncomfortable and embarrassing, and they posted the footage to YouTube, so I'm pretty sure it's still floating around somewhere. Anyway, I confronted them about it later, and apparently one of my friends who was majoring in web development at the time made the website just for the quote-unquote prank, and I still have no idea how it looks so professional or how they got my dad to sign up for it. Oh my god. Wow. Okay, you gotta admit, this is a crazy lick. Like, this is a crazy prank. It is pretty funny. As far as this is concerned, honestly, dude, I think this could be worse. Like, I think there's, like, way worse things that could have happened on a first date than being pranked and, you know, obviously not having the date. This next one is titled Funny Date, but absolutely horrible pain this was, my friends. Alright, buckle up because this is a doozy. So I met this guy online and we decided to go for a hike. Sounds innocent enough, right? Wrong. First of all, he showed up in sandals. Sandals for a hike. I should have known then that things were going downhill fast. We start hiking and he's immediately complaining about how out of shape he is. Okay, fine, I get it. Hiking can be tough. But then he starts picking flowers, which, whatever. He's also crushing them and muttering about how, quote, nature is overrated, end quote. I'm starting to get a bad feeling. Then we reach this scenic overlook and I'm expecting a nice moment, maybe a little conversation. Nope. He pulls out a ukulele and starts playing off-key renditions of pop songs. People are staring. I wanted to disappear. The hike back was silent and filled with regret. I'm pretty sure I saw a squirrel judging us. Never again. Yeah, that sounds unfortunate to say the least. Yeah, I mean, online dating can be tricky, but that said, the fact that you even stayed past the sandals part, like if someone showed up with sandals on a hiking date, I'd be like, either this guy is really good at hiking or this guy just really likes pain, in which case, I don't know, to each their own. You know what? I'm going to put this at the middle of bad. Disgusting apartment was also pretty bad. Like, I would put those on the same level, honestly. This one is titled, She Left Me Bleeding in the Middle of the Road. It was her birthday in 2023, and we decided to go out on a date to celebrate her birthday. I'm going to assume this is a girlfriend of sorts, because I don't know who her is. We went to a nearby public park, and believe me, this park is usually very beautiful till this date. We sat there for about an hour talking about different things and a basketball match, because both of us were interested in it, and I was a basketball player too. Things were going smoothly. After this, it was 9:30 p.m. when we entered a restaurant and ate our dinner, and celebrated her birthday enthusiastically. After that, we kissed each other and walked outside. The moment we reached the road, a biker, his speed was no doubt more than 100 kilometers per hour, hit my hand, and I don't know how, but my hand was stuck in his bike's handle, and I kept on rolling with the bike whereas the biker was thrown off his bike due to the accident. He was not wearing a helmet. He died instantly due to a crack in his skull, whereas my hand was fractured and started bleeding. She left me on the spot and left the place. I was carried to the hospital by an ambulance. It took me 1 year to recover. However, now I'm completely fine, but I left playing basketball forever. I never met her after this accident, even in the school. Now I'm not interested in making girlfriends. I've watched her videos on relationships. See, getting girls is easy, but finding a good one is very hard. Thanks for listening to my story, Nico. Hope you will include this. Bro, that is peak horrible girlfriend. Like, you get run over by a bike going super fast. You break your arm or left bleeding there by her on the floor. Like, what the absolute fuck, man? This is one of those, like, oh, girls get the ick over everything type of situations. Like, oh, he got ran over by a bike. Ew. Like, but still, you can get the ick, but help the motherfucker, you know? This is diabolical. Being left bleeding in the street is diabolical. I don't know if it goes above hooked up with my uncle, but that's up there with that. That is pretty bad. This next one is titled Argument on the First Date. So this story is actually very recent, as it is from the very beginning of the year. Pretty much I met this girl at a New Year's quote-unquote party. I say it with a quote because it was more like a get-together. But anyways, I'm a really nervous guy, so I don't really talk with her at all until maybe like halfway through the night. But when we do start talking, we talk all night. Needless to say, I had my first New Year's kiss that night. Anyways, we started talking, and on the first day we went to Target to get Lego flowers to build and then got crepes to build them. Later, we went to my car and parked on the beach. Maybe like 15 to 20 minutes in, I get a call from my mother. I say, hold up, I'm going to take this real quick. So I stepped out of my car. When I get back, she starts going off on me, talking about some I should have known, why do all men lie, why are you talking to other girls? Now granted, my mom's name on my phone wasn't mom, but her actual name. But regardless, it was our first date. And after that, I explained it, then took her home where I actually met her parents. But I don't know why I ended up dating her, and I'm sure you can assume that the whole relationship was just arguing the whole time. Anyways, hope this makes the video, but yeah. Yeah, some girls come, a little more jealous than others, even if it's your mom, I guess. But now the fact of the matter is, you continued to date her, so I could have been that bad of a first date if it didn't, it sounds like it's kind of your fault that you got yourself in that relationship. I'm going to put this I'll put it at the bottom of bad. I mean, it's not like crazy as hell, but it's not great either. This one is called Control Alt Heartbreak. That is a very clever title. I can't wait for this one. It was supposed to be a casual dinner with Sarah, a girl I'd met online. I'd been looking forward to it all week, thinking it could be the start of something special. But little did I know, it would be the worst date of my life. As I arrived at the restaurant, I couldn't help but feel a bit nervous. I checked my phone, and my gaming squad was in the middle of an intense match. I just needed to quickly check the score, and before I knew it, 20 minutes had passed, and I was still glued to my phone, completely oblivious to Sarah's attempts to get my attention. Wait, so was she already there, or did she come in the middle of the thing and did you just not notice her? Hey, everything okay? She asked, waving her hand in front of my face. I snapped back to reality, embarrassed. Yeah, sorry about that, just a quick game. The rest of the date was a blur. I spent most of the time talking about my gaming exploits, showing her videos of my best plays, and even pulled out my console to show her some tricks. Sarah tried to steer the conversation toward more meaningful topics, but I was too caught up in my gaming world. As the check came, I barely noticed her growing frustration. I think we're done here, she said, her voice cold. I looked up confused. What? No, I thought we were having a good time. Sarah shook her head. You're more invested in your games than in getting to know me. I don't think this is going to work out. I was taken aback. I'd never seen it coming. I'd been so focused on my gaming that I'd forgotten the most basic rules of dating. I walked her to her car, feeling like a total loser. As I watched her drive away, I couldn't help but think, game over, dude. You've been defeated. That was the end of our first and only date. I realized I'd been living in a virtual world, and it was time to reboot my life. Since that day, I try to control my addiction, and to some extent, I'm successful in it. Currently, I'm in a relationship which is about 1 year old. This also sounds like it might have come from Reddit or something. Anyway, besides the point, this sounds like a kid who genuinely is so excited to just be on a date that he doesn't even realize what he's doing. It sounds like the date honestly sucked a lot more for her than it did for you. So, I don't know, man. Like, I'm going to put that above Karen encounter because you kind of fumbled yourself, not so much somebody else fumbling you. This one is titled She Was Creeped On. I met this girl in late high school, maybe grade 11 or 12. She had joined our school recently, and she was absolutely beautiful and seemed really kind. She hadn't really met anyone, so I shot my shot and managed to land it. We became good friends, and soon after, I asked her on a date, and she said yes. Anyway, skip forward to our date. She was really into history, so I decided to take her to our local history museum. Anyway, while we were driving there, I noticed someone seemed to be following us. I saw them repeatedly in the rearview mirror, but I had just assumed he was also going to the museum. Fast forward, we had a great time there, but I kept noticing this dude in the corner of my eye now and then in the museum. I was a bit weirded out, but never pointed it out because I didn't want to scare her or accidentally be wrong. While we were leaving, she walked forward a bit as she needed to go to the toilet. The toilet entrances were outside the building. Anyway, when she walked out and turned the corner, she disappeared. I tried to call out her name, but she didn't answer, so I ran after her, and the guy I had seen following us had grabbed her and started trying to kiss her. I ended up running behind him and hitting him on the head with a blunt chunk of concrete that was loose on the ground, and after a few seconds he let go and stumbled away. I made sure she was alright, and we drove home, but sadly she never really talked to me again after that. Rightfully so in my opinion. I don't know why she wouldn't talk to you. I mean, you in fact saved her. I guess you left her out of your sight for like 5 seconds, but still, this... First of all, who was this guy? Like, did you call the cops? Was he arrested? Like, what is... I feel like we're missing lore here. I feel like there's a lot more here that could have been talked to or said or been done. So please comment down below if you have more to this story. That said, this is really bad. This is bad. Like, your date basically getting stalked and then assaulted is kind of crazy. But yeah, I'm gonna put this at the top of really bad. Got kicked in the nuts after I gave a girl a donut. So I have a pretty short one here. When I was in the 7th grade, I had a big crush on a girl and I quote asked her out, end quote. It was more like asking her to hang out, not on a date, but I digress. And I took her to a local bakery, known for its great donuts. One thing you should know is that this girl is a little bit on the chunkier side and is very self-conscious about that. Oh, I already know where this is going. To make a long story short, she took me buying her donuts as me calling her fat, which is untrue. I just got her donuts. And she taekwondo front kicked me in the bollocks in the middle of the store. Took the donuts and walked out. What? Wait. She kicked you in the nuts and then took the donuts after she claimed that you said she was fat and is why you got her the donuts. My brother, that girl was fat. Like, bringing candy to a girl is a romantic gesture. A donut specifically might not be the most orthodox thing to do, but it's still basically candy, right? Like, come on, man. This is bad, but not so much because of the date, but because you got kicked in the nuts. So I feel like that just deserves I'm going to put it above the Karen encounter, but yeah. This one is titled, I Punched Her Ex. Okay, so it's kind of funny when I think about this now, but the day it happened, it was really, really serious. So I had a girlfriend. She's no more in this world due to COVID-19. Oh, I'm so sorry. We decided to celebrate Christmas by going on a date. So both of us went to a restaurant to eat our dinner and cut the cake. All things were going smoothly, but I had never expected something like this would happen. 4 boys came in the restaurant. One of them, let's call him Marcus, grabbed my shirt and started yelling at me and cursing me. For the first 5 minutes, I was unable to understand what was actually happening. I literally thought it was a restaurant hijack. But then I asked him, bro, what's the f***ing matter with you? He said, you're dating my girlfriend. How dare you? I will kill you. Then suddenly my girlfriend stood up and said to Marcus that she was my girlfriend now and that they don't have any relationship. The moment I realized what was happening, I punched his nose and he collapsed there on the floor. His nose started bleeding and I kicked his stomach, and then the crowd and the hotel management started stopping me. But on that day when we were on our way home, I was very satisfied. That day, those kids ruined our date, but yes, it strengthened it more. Okay, honestly, I'm going to say something about this. This is like a could be worse for me only because you kind of stood your ground and then won the fight. Listen, dude, if you're going to have to fight a dude with your girlfriend present, you better win, bro. You better win, because fighting and losing is just like, I don't know, most girls like to feel protected, and that's like the peak of like, oh, damn, you can't protect me. I'll put it at above sit up with my dad because you won the fight. This was your girl after that. This might be long, but not as long as the date I had. So my girlfriend and I had gone to this library park area to chill and hang out. All was normal until we decided to go get something to eat. There was a KFC nearby that had a nice upstairs eating area that I thought would be cute. On our way there, we walked past this group of guys who then started catcalling my girlfriend. Things escalated when one of the guys tried to block her way and moved close to her. I intervened before anything could happen by using similar dialect they used that I had picked up from the guys I went to college with. Might also be because of my aura, insert Niko Mog's face. What? Later on in the KFC, this unhoused looking man walks into the eating area and rummages through each bin. At some point, he goes up to the table and sits in the long booth my girl was sitting in and starts talking about all of his life problems with this soppy waffle to us, and all I can see is how uncomfortable she was with him there. I don't know what a soppy waffle is, but I'm going to assume he was just yapping about his life. Anyway, so I stand up to move him towards my side of the table, and bro, I kid you not, he starts bawling. I don't even remember what he said because of my shock of seeing this grown man crying, asking 2 kids for shit. Like, brother, I'm basically unemployed as well. But I talk him down and signal to my girl to leave behind his back. I gave him my nuggets and followed her out. The 2-in-1 is kind of crazy. Like, you getting pressed by some guys that are just trying to look cool, and then some homeless man trying to beg you for food. That's pretty bad. I'm going to say that's pretty bad. Like, that sucks. It's a bad date. It's still kind of like the Karen encounter, though. It's not like something that was about the date itself. It was more like the surrounding things of the date. I'm going to put it over kicked in the nuts over the donut because you got the 2-in-1. This one is titled, I Am Not That Guy. So to give a bit of context, there's this big shopping center that's quite popular because it got a massive refurbishment like 7 years ago. Crucial to understand, the shopping center was built above miles of service lifts and tunnels that were used decades ago for practically everything. Sewage, delivery power, etc. It was somewhat common knowledge that these tunnels existed, but few had gone down there because of the pretty tight security, mainly because of people like me who thought it was cool to sneak in. I had a date with this girl who was really outgoing, more extroverted than me, and so I thought, hey, let me take her to the tunnels. What does her being extroverted have to do with you taking her to a tunnel is my first question, but anyway. The system is really weird and hard to explain, but basically there are 4 levels, but the top levels are actually the most guarded, despite the lower levels being the most interesting. I had done this with my friends a million times. I knew the exits and places to hide, and to be honest, because of my experience, I didn't really need a flashlight. But, crucial detail, my friend, let's call him Alex, had all the knowledge. If we wanted to go, we made sure Alex was with us. In comparison, I was basically an overconfident novice. Anyway, she loved the idea and the feedback was so good. I thought this day would go perfectly. We snuck in through the west entrance. It was the farthest away from the stairs to the lower levels, but also the least secure entrance. All we had to do was maneuver our way down a couple of flights to the lower levels, where all the action was, and we'd be safe. I shit you not, the moment we got out of our hiding place, we turned our head to see at least 30 officers patrolling the bay. I had no idea why there were so many around one entrance. It should have been 5. I should have mentioned this earlier, but the punishment for capture is the police being called. Then out of nowhere, this girl who I thought was confident, adventurous, smart, just blurted out, quote, "We're so sorry we came here." I was flabbergasted. She'd seen the security and immediately gave up. In the end, they called the police anyway, and she ended up hating me for it, even though she was the one who forfeited. By the way, we weren't arrested, mainly just lectured for about 20 minutes, but her and I were permanently banned from coming to that shopping center. Bro, this is a great test. Like, bringing a person to something that is like sneaky and something that you can get caught in is a great test and a great judgment of someone's character. This girl probably forfeits everything in her life. Like, the moment something gets hard, bang, she's gone. It does not matter. She's gonna sell you out to the highest bidder. So this is actually a good thing. Seeing her true colors immediately without having to do all of the work of getting to know her or anything. Honestly, this is really bad. Getting sold out immediately by your date is just bad character. Bad character. I'm gonna put it in really bad just for the sake of that. This one is titled, I Got Slapped. Okay, so I was on a date with a girl, I'll call her Jay. The day was going fine for now. 20-ish minutes after the date started, she asked me if I like dogs. I say no, then I get slapped in the face. Wow. Short and sweet. What, dude? You don't like dogs, so she slapped you in the face? I guess she really needs a dog person in her life. Man, I don't know what to tell you. I would put this at like the bottom of bad. I don't have enough context here, but it's not that I really need more. The girl sounds like she's a little crazy, and you only have to stay with her for 20 minutes before leaving, hopefully. This one is titled Roblox Neighbors. So there's this game on Roblox called Neighbors. It's a game where you just have a one-on-one conversation with a random person. One time I got really close with this girl and we became friends. Later we found out that we're from the same place, so we decided to go on a date. I had to travel 2 hours with the train and I was already feeling a bit scared because this would be the first time I would see her. I mean, we did do a face reveal, but that was about it. So we met up and the first thing I saw was red. Her whole face was covered with acne. The second thing was that she had to be over 150 kilos. Okay, 150 kilos is about like 300 pounds, so that's crazy. So I just brushed it off and went into the movie. The first thing she did was take my arm and grab it like a monkey. And then, I don't know what he's saying here, but I think he's then saying she got her acne on my arm, and then she took a whole tray of popcorn and ate everything. When the movie ended, she said she knew of a fun place. It was an abandoned building with a soggy couch. She said 4 words. Quote, I want to fuck, end quote. I said, no, sorry. I want to keep my... I want to keep my green card? Bro was afraid he was going to get deported if he had sex with this woman. I'm assuming he wants to say V card, but I digress. The next day I got a text saying, I'm sorry you're not attractive enough, so I'm going to remove you. Mind you, I'm a normal looking dude, decent face card, and 6 feet. Half a year later, she adds me back saying, sorry for not loving you, can we get together? I said sure, told her to meet me at a spot 3 hours with the train, but I never showed up. This kind of sounds a little made up, I'm not gonna lie to you, but dude, nothing is worse than getting catfished. If you're saying that you face reveal to each other, I don't know how she managed to hide all the acne. Then again, I guess there could have been a difference between like what picture you guys sent each other or her having a filter on Discord or whatever. But man, like seeing someone that like you like online and then realizing they're just like completely ugly and strange in person is probably the worst thing ever, man. Eating the whole tray of popcorn is crazy. Saying she wants to on a soggy couch in the middle of an abandoned building is crazy. Damn, bro. Just on this one kind of sucks. I'm not gonna lie. This one's pretty bad. I'm gonna put it at the top of bad. But it's also pretty baller of you to send her 3 hours by train all the frick way to somewhere and not show up after what she, well, attempted to do to you. Then again, I don't think I would do that to this woman. It sounds like she's a little crazy, so be careful. The next one is called Whipped It Out on Accident. I'm a 21-year-old male and went on a date with someone I met on Instagram. We talked and talked. After a while, she asked to go to my place. I went to go stand up so we could leave, but my Glock showed, and she is an avid hater of firearms. So then she excused herself to go to the bathroom. Never saw her again. Anyways, love your videos. Why are you carrying a gun? Like, who brings a firearm to a date? I feel like this is just like a basic common sense thing. Don't bring a gun on a date, whether or not she likes the guns or not. I don't think I would want to go on a date with someone who pulled up with the blicky either. I don't know. I'm going to put this in like, I guess the middle of bad. I have no idea. I don't know how I would categorize this. This is so strange. This one is called I had shit in my pants. There's always one poop story, bro. There's always one. On the car ride to a date with this 10 out of 10 baddie, I shit my pants and I don't know what to do. I was in the parking lot when it happened, and the date saw me pulling in, so I couldn't just leave. No, bro, you could just leave. You can fake a phone call. You can be like, I gotta go, my mom is dying or something. You can make up anything. There's no recovering from shitting yourself, especially like that. Like, you could have so easily avoided what happens next. I had to walk into an Olive Garden with shit in my pants. I ended up getting thrown out because of the smell since they started reeking and everyone knew it was me. The date blocked me on everything and moved states because of it. This is valid. This is bad. This is really bad. Pooping yourself before a date and then deciding, you know what, fuck it, I'm still gonna go through with it. No, you don't. You make up an excuse, bite the bullet, and never have to tell anyone about this. Instead of being Mr. Poopy Pants on a date. Like, what? I'm not gonna lie. I'm putting this in really bad, man. I'm putting this in really bad. Like, this is ridiculous behavior. You know what? I'm putting this in the bottom of diabolical, bro. Because what? Who in their right mind thinks that this is a good idea? I'm sorry. This one is titled My First Kiss. When I was about 14 or 15, I dated this girl for over 2 years. About 1 year into the relationship, I invited her onto a date at the nearby park. I'd been waiting to kiss her for a long time, but I finally built up the confidence and would do it today. I was nervous and excited, so I arrived at the park almost half an hour early. I didn't mind waiting, and I spent the time hyping myself up. Soon enough, the meetup time came around and I texted her. She told me she was running a bit late. Okay, that's fine. Well, she wasn't a little late. She came 30 minutes late when I was only allowed an hour to hang out. That's unfortunate, but whatever. I started walking around the park with her, and we're walking past a tree when we see a dead squirrel. I felt like that was a bad omen, so I didn't say anything. But she noticed and we went over to investigate. We then spent 15 minutes digging a hole with sticks to bury it. Remember, I'm still trying to find a romantic atmosphere to kiss her. Sitting in the dirt over a rotting rodent isn't exactly the vibe I want to be in. Eventually, we finally get away from the corpse and we sit on a bench beside the water. I was scared she would reject the kiss, so I just asked her. She said yes. I closed my eyes and lean in, and I accidentally kissed her chin. To this day, I think about it and cringe. Thank God she didn't laugh. I tried again and didn't miss. But afterwards, I couldn't stop laughing like a lovesick idiot. She's autistic, so she didn't judge, but it's still really embarrassing. Anyway, she eventually broke up with me because she discovered she was a lesbian, and we're still friends to this day. Happy ending, I guess. Hold on, man. How are you just... Dude. Okay, first of all, missing and hitting her chin as a kiss is honestly kind of cute and is really not that bad. It's a memorable thing, and if you laugh about it, it's not even that embarrassing. Learn to laugh with yourself with things like that, because it's a more fun story to tell anyway. That being said, her believing you because she discovered she was a lesbian is kind of crazy. Anyway, this one is not that bad. I'm putting this at the bottom of could be worse. Like, this is actually quite normal. This one is titled, I think I accidentally dated someone who erases people. This happened 2 months ago, and I still get chills thinking about it. Met him on Hinge, normal pics, dry humor, said he worked in, quote, data privacy. I assumed that meant boring corporate work. We met at a coffee shop. He walked in scanning the exits and cameras. He ordered black coffee, sat down, and slid an envelope across the table. Inside was a candid photo of me walking into a bookstore where we matched. Okay, infinitely creepy already. He said calmly, you dropped this last week. When I asked how he got it, he shrugged. I don't keep things people leave behind. I return them. His tone was polite, but the words were strange. He gave advice about scrubbing your name from data brokers, filing takedowns, and making payments anonymous. It sounded helpful until he started using my info as examples. You posted a photo on April 9th. Sunglasses on a counter, license plate reflection, deleted. There were no hashtags. I never posted that photo. Okay, the fact that you're still in this coffee shop is crazy, by the way, just letting you know. Then he pulled out a tiny stamp and pressed it onto a folded business card. The stamp left a strange glip, like a barcode made of dots. He said, "That's how I mark things I return. It tells me where it came from." He hummed while typing, and the hum synced with the cafe blender. How did you sync a hum with a cafe blender? What? When I said I should go, he offered to walk me to my car. I said no. He smiled and said, "Okay, stay unlisted." Then he left. 2 days later, a small plain box appeared at my door with no return address. Inside were printed train receipts, a paper bag I didn't order, and a coffee receipt from a shop I'd never visited. On top was a napkin from the cafe with a note, "You left this." Building security footage shows someone in a coat dropping the box at 3:08 a.m. The face is hidden, but the collar matches the coat he wore. After that, my phone started getting login alerts from cities I'd never visited, Instagram drafts disappeared overnight, an email tried to reset my streaming account info from 50 miles away, nothing was stolen but the activity was precise. A week later, a stack of sugar packets appeared on my doorstep in a perfect spiral, with a note in the center, "Remember where you smiled." I told myself this was just a theatrical creep. Then I saw a news article about an old hacker collective called the Shadow Crew. One of the archived aliases was listed as Elias Thorne. Am I supposed to know who Elias Thorne is? What? Hold on, let me look at this. Shadow Crew was a cybercrime forum that operated under the domain name shadowcrew.com between August 2002 and November 2004. All right, let me look up Elias Thorne. Elias Thorne is it's from like some sort of a book. All right, whatever the case may be, if this is real, why did you even stay as long as you did? Then again, honestly, it doesn't even really look like it matters if you stayed or left. This guy would have figured out where you are and what you're doing anyway. Call the police or something is what I would say. This is like you might die. This actually might be just the most diabolical one. Okay, I don't know. This feels like it goes above even the hooking up with the uncle thing. Like, what do you do with this information? With this guy just sending you stuff and trying to log into your accounts and like basically looks like he's trying to steal your identity. That is diabolical. This one is called Ski Girl. I'd been a socially awkward guy, so I usually went on Tinder to find girls to go on dates with. I'd only gone on one other date, which didn't last because the girls were too boring or they looked completely different from the pictures they sent. Wait, you'd only gone on one other date or only other first dates? I don't, okay, whatever. So I meet this girl, we talk all this nonsense and joke around, and we meet up at a Chinese place as we figured we both liked Chinese. It was during school hours, so there were not many people around in town. It felt awfully quiet. We had Chinese and we talked about stuff like she's been skiing in Austria and some other countries and I wanted to go. But then she began to talk about much, much weirder things. She began talking about stuff like she'd apparently pushed people over on purpose while skiing and wanted to hurt them. I joked about saying haha would be funny seeing them hurt. But then she brings up her childhood, how she apparently used to intentionally hurt others. I think I got too comfortable with her, and then she decided to share her story. She told me that she's changed, but I really don't trust that. And the fact she wants to be my girlfriend. A freak. Hell no. I decided to block her. But then after a random number called, saying that it was her, I instantly ended the call. And because she knew the area around where I lived, as a Chinese was only a 30-minute walk from mine, I stumbled upon her and she started getting extremely mad. She got a temper and started shouting in front of people. I called my brother telling him what happened, and I reported her to the police as she pushed me when she left. And the police haven't filled up anything so far, other than the fact that they've spoke with her. God, I've stopped using Tinder and I'd rather stay single. These freaks on Tinder are scary, man. Listen, man, it's just crazy exists in the world. In this particular case, you got a ski girl who likes to push people off the slopes for some reason and is pretty interesting in terms of intentionally wanting to hurt people. Yeah, this is pretty bad. I'd put this pretty close to the top of bad. I think that deserves that. This one is called My Date Took Me to Wendy's, then Tried to Kidnap Me. So I was bored one day back in 2013, and so I downloaded Tinder on my phone. Then I made an account or whatever. Then I got started matching with people. I didn't really find anyone attractive until I found a guy named David or something. He looked amazing. So of course I started talking with him and we kicked it off. After a while of chatting, like a month I think, we set up a date. We lived about 20 minutes away, and so he picked me up from my house, and then he took me to Wendy's. I thought he was going to take me to Myers, which is a great restaurant, and he did look like his pictures on Tinder. Anyway, after the date at Wendy's, I was going to order an Uber to save him the trouble, but he said no. So we started to argue in the Wendy's. However, I was completely shocked when he dragged me out with my neck. He threw me in the car and I started to punch him though. He was too strong and it didn't affect him. So after like 5 minutes, he also drugged me and knocked me out. Apparently a Wendy's employee called the police and they started a fucking police chase and I was saved, lol. My first day was my worst one. I also have a boyfriend right now, and he is normal. Well, okay. That escalated quickly. How did we go from he didn't want you to get in an Uber to he threw you into his car, right? How did we go from A to Z so quickly? That being said, I'm glad that you have a normal boyfriend now, but this is all right, this one takes the cake. I mean, you quite literally got kidnapped. That has to take the cake, right? Incognito guy was creepy, but nothing actually happened. This girl was straight up kidnapped and drugged. This next one is titled Incest Madness. Here we go. For the context of the worst date experience, I am in an incestuous relationship with my cousin. I will not reveal our orientation or sexes, etc. All you need to know is that we truly adore each other on an obsessive level. One day we came home drunk while our parents, who lived together, were asleep. After we quietly entered the house, we, who were already 18 years old, started going at it. We were going at it for a very long time, and it ended with all the parents waking up and coming into the room when the two of us were having an scandal, shock, quarrel, you get the idea. My parents ordered us to separate into different rooms. We always slept in the same bed and in the same room because none of them expected that. And while they ordered us to separate into different rooms, they discussed in the kitchen what to do. But it was useless on their part. We both escaped through the same windows, after which we stole their car and ran the hell out of town. And as soon as we drove to another city the next day, we got rid of the car and our phones so that no one could track us. A year has passed, we are 19, we live together and rented a place. We're still in this relationship and it is unlikely that we will ever stop it. Okay, this isn't really a date idea. This is kind of just this is just a story, but I'm going to talk about this one. Let's say that for the sake of the argument, this is somewhat normal, right? Why would you go into the house where all the parents of the whole family sleep and proceed to have a long session of beating the Doonies down? Why do we think that this is a good idea? This just sounds like you really wanted to get caught, okay? A really long time. This is what you thought was a good idea? This is absolutely insane. You guys basically stole a car, left town, and then are just out and about together and are living life, I guess? I mean, it's romantic and also kind of disgusting at the same time, I guess. I don't really know where to put this. This isn't really a date story. I'm going to put this at the bottom of really bad. It technically is diabolical, but for a completely different reason than the actual date itself. So anyway, my crazy ex shouts slurs at her ex in public. Back in January, I had met this girl from a friend in school. We had been talking / getting to know each other for about a week when we both decided to go roller skating together. During our time talking, she mentioned to me that she has anger issues. She'd get very upset and negative whenever she saw a person that she didn't like, which is a lot of people, and let it be known to everyone around her. As we were roller skating together, she mentions how she met a guy in the skating rink that was a little too old for her to be dating and said that he had used her for her body. Coincidentally, her ex that she was telling me about ended up being at the roller skate rink, which caused her to get very angry. She starts shouting racial slurs at him and telling him to go kill himself. Luckily, he didn't hear her due to the music being pretty loud in the rink. I remember awkwardly and silently sitting next to her after that because I was at a loss for words. We ended up dating for a month and a half, and she screamed at me for 40 minutes at school the day after we broke up for never loving her and being like the rest of her exes. After that, she told people around school that I threatened her, abused, and traumatized her, even though I was nothing but nice to her throughout dating her. My word of advice is to never ignore red flags, even if the person is aware of their own red flags. Yeah, I mean, screaming at your ex at an ice skating ring when you're with someone new is, I'm going to say, pretty bad. Yeah, this is kind of in the middle in between all of these. This last one is called I Don't Even Know What to Title This. So I met this girl on Tinder and she seemed pretty normal. Like the average girl in our age range, she was my type, and we ended up matching. So I was pretty happy. We had been talking for a few days and all was going well until our first date. She started talking about this really fancy restaurant and I was like, hey, why don't we go there together? So we did. And immediately she started ordering expensive things. I'm a gentleman and I really like this girl, so I didn't pay too much mind. But when she started getting aggressive, not like yelling or throwing knives, but more like getting super passive aggressive, she knew I worked in software development, which she didn't seem to care about before, and she started talking down to me about it, making fun of me. She started interrogating me about what car I drove, where I lived, how much I made, and all that kind of stuff. I think she just heard about my high-paying job and then immediately decided to try and get free food out of me. But in any case, I obviously cut it off with her. I did end up paying for the $500 meal, but to be honest, I was fine with it since it meant getting rid of her. Bro, $500? You should have gotten up, quote, went to the bathroom and left. I'm sorry, but if you're a girl going to a fancy restaurant with a guy, if it's your first date, be humble. Get something normally priced, or if you're getting something, get something similar to what the guy is getting. Don't be a complete and utter gold digger, which I mean, this girl is, but also for a first date, I'm a firm believer as a guy, you should never, ever take someone to a fancy, expensive dinner for the first date because you're, first of all, setting an expectation. Second of all, yes, you want to impress this person, but maybe you impress her on the third date. Maybe you impress her after you get to know her a little bit because if you're going to make that big of an investment on someone that you don't even know you're going to like by the end of the night, that's a stupid idea personally. Second of all, I'm a firm believer that honestly, if you're taking someone out on a date, you want to take them somewhere that you can get out quickly if you need to. So something like ice cream, I would say. Because A, if you hate this person, you don't have to sit there for like a whole hour dinner. You just sit there for 20 minutes for ice cream. And then B, if this person is really pissed off about the kind of date you guys went on because it was not really like expensive or like a proper dinner date, then that just shows you that this person isn't really there for you, but rather for what you can provide. Anyway, that's completely different side note. Yeah, this one kind of sucks. I mean, like, you're getting mocked and then you're being forced to pay for a $500 meal. Like, come on, bro. We're putting Miss Gold Digger in. I'll put it around the Roblox romance. Sure, why not? But that pretty much concludes our list, ladies and gentlemen. We had some pretty interesting ones, but yeah, by far, getting almost kidnapped at Wendy's is definitely taking the cake here. So congratulations, you've won absolutely nothing. But anyway, thank you all so much for participating and watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to probably have another one of these forums in the description below. I don't know what the next one is going to be, but we'll see. We'll see. Regardless, thanks again. And as always, good night and good luck, everybody.